Hello everybody, welcome back to the Great White Sharpedo Pokemon channel. This is another speed run of Pokemon Fire Red. This time it's with the highly requested Haunter run. So we're going to see how we go. Thank you to Jamie and Keegan Vang for suggesting this one. Really excited to see how we go. So we obviously start off by changing one of the starters with a Ghastly. I chose that Squirtle was going to be our rival's Pokemon, so that he had Bite and the best defense to go with. So we named him Jamie, and we got on with our first battle. Pretty convincing win. He isn't really able to hurt us. The early game's quite interesting. We have really bad defense, but we're able to compensate for that, I suppose, with having the Ghost type. So not a lot of Pokemon can really hurt us. In contrary to that, coming up against any normal type Pokemon like sort of Pidgeys or Rattatas are actually extremely hard to fight because Lick doesn't affect them because it's a Ghost type move. So it's an interesting run, this one as well. I make a few fatal flaws. I'll point them out as they sort of happen. But as you can see, we get to Brock at level 13. And I just give it a bit of a go. I just wanted to see what I could do and how I could go. So I lost the first attempt, went back to the second, and came back with a bit more of a better strategy. I went for Curse on Onix, healed up, and then sort of let Curse work its magic and licked him to death. And we carried on with our game. After 55 minutes, it wasn't a bad start. The first fatal flaw that happened, we actually got to the very end of the Mount Moon, and we died right before the last trainer, so we had to walk back through it. And again, it doesn't seem like it's going to take up much time, but we had to walk back the whole way through Mount Moon again, and it cost us probably about 15-20 minutes by the time we battled the last trainer. And yeah, so we just wasted a bit of time. We obviously picked up Thief in Mount Moon along the way, which actually turned out to be our strongest move because Ghost is apparently physical in Gen 3. Go figure. Doesn't really make any sense, I know, but whatever. We go with it anyway. So we beat the rival, and then we go through Nugget Bridge. We evolve our Ghastly into Haunter, finally. And we actually learned Shadow Punch, which I was really excited to learn. And then I realized that Shadow Punch is a physical move, and our best stat is our special. So Shadow Punch is still not the best move. Thief is definitely by far our strongest attack at this point, until we can buy Psychic later on in the game. So as you can see, we evolved right in the middle of Nugget Bridge. And then we go and take on Misty after 2 hours and 23 minutes. So you can see from the first gym badge to the second gym badge, it probably shouldn't take about an hour and a half. It should take a lot less than that. So we did waste a lot of time. We go up and we go for Thief. Pretty much almost one-shot Staryu from the get-go, so we're on a pretty good wicket. I mean, we're super effective against Starmie anyway, so I wasn't too worried about how the battle was going to go. Even with a Harden, Shadow Punch actually does a fair bit, but as you can see later in the game, Shadow Ball that we learn is nowhere near as sort of effective as Psychic and Thunderbolt and things like that. So another Shadow Punch and we knock out Starmie, and we get our second badge after about 2.5 hours, and we race on down to Surge. At this point, I'm starting to worry a little bit about our time because we're a little bit behind. 2 hours and 24 minutes. It's not too bad, but it's definitely not groundbreaking by any stretch of the imagination either. We take on our rival on the SSN. Pretty convincing victory here. We're about 15 levels higher than everybody else. We pretty much almost one-shot his whole team. Pidgeot's not really the threat that it will be later on, but we get the job done. We have to go get a Diglett. We catch a Diglett as well. And then we go on to face Lieutenant Surge. As you can see, we're still taking care of his team. And right now, I'm still trying to compare Shadow Punch to Thief. And I think Thief is still so much better because it actually uses our special attack stat, which is twice as high as our attack. So we take on Surge, 3 hours and 11 minutes, and yeah, by this stage, plus a few more fatal flaws or fails throughout the rest of the run, really makes our I was expecting this run to be our best one by a little bit, because I thought the Haunter was going to have, and again, it probably wasn't Haunter's fault. It was more my fault from not paying attention or just having something go against us at the wrong time, which you'll see later on. We beat Surge, 3 hours, 15 minutes. We get Shockwave, can't learn it. I thought he could. So the first thing I do once I get through Rock Tunnel, which again, one of the things I did was I fainted right at the end of Rock Tunnel, and I had to go all the way back. You'll notice a pattern in this run. That's 2. So Mount Moon, we fainted at the very end. Rock Tunnel, we fainted at the very end. Had to walk all the way back through. We get Psychic, and we teach it to Jamie. And this really sets us up for the rest of our run. And for a bit more levels as well, I go and take on the Fighting Dojo. I know that it's probably not the smartest thing to do speedrun-wise, but we actually just go in and just completely destroy the whole Fighting Dojo really quickly, as quick as we can. As you can see, I just go through and get rid of them all, and then go on to fight Giovanni. We've still got enough PP to take him on. He's not really too much of a challenge because we're 20 levels higher than he is. It was really quite handy to get that extra XP. I thought it was going to assist us in the late game, and you'll see what happens later on. It's quite frustrating. Alright, so we get 2 PP ups as well. One from the Rocket Hideout and one from Celadon City on the right hand side. And we attach them to Psychic so that we've got an extra 4 Psychic attacks per visit to the Pokemon Center. Nothing too much to report here. They're poison type Pokemon against our Psychic attacks. It's not going to bode well for them, especially being 20 levels higher than everybody right now. We're sort of, technically I thought we'd be sitting in the best position, but look at that, 5 hours and 12 minutes. So that was the real big downer, was having to go through Rock Tunnel twice. Really, really disappointed in that, and that really hurt the run going forward as well. I almost found it like I was trying to go uphill the whole time after that. It just wasn't a good run. I don't know what happened. I just wasn't paying attention, or I ran out of PP, and then the opponent just had to kill me, and it was really, really frustrating. So then we finally get down to Koga. We take him on, and again we just Psychic basically the whole way. Muck's always I find Muck harder than the Weezing at the end, but to one shot / critical hit Muck was very nice indeed. So we beat Koga after a total of 5 hours and 43 minutes. We go and take on our rival next in the Rocket Hideout in Saffron City. By this stage, I'm pretty sure I should have gone and got Thunderbolt to make my life a bit easier. And we've also learned Shadow Ball, I think at level 51 as well. But the fight's pretty good. We're sort of on a decent wicket by this stage. It's a bit concerning that Bite from Blastoise actually can basically half one-shot us, but we just go back again and just destroy them the second time around. It's, as you can see, Bite does about half our damage. Our defense is just horrible. Haunter's biggest downfall is his defense. It's quite a struggle to take any decent damage from any Pokemon, and it's a real struggle against sort of Pokemon that have super effective, decent type attacks as well. But we take on Giovanni. We beat him convincingly with our Psychics, and then we're going to go work our way down to Blaine after we beat Sabrina. 6 hours and 15 minutes. At this stage, I'm well and truly sort of not feeling too good about the run. It was quite frustrating because I thought I was going to potentially have the best run so far. I'm thinking that will potentially be with a Psychic type Pokemon later on, because there's so many poison types throughout the game. Make sure I get that at 9 minutes 40. So we beat Sabrina, get our Marsh badge, and we find our way on the way to Blaine. 6 hours and 35 minutes in, we take on Blaine. And we don't really have too many dramas with him at all. We just have to be careful with the Fire Blast, as you can see. Even from Growlithe, it does about half our health. But in terms of Intimidate and stuff like that, that doesn't really affect us at all. So, yeah, we get tanked by Fire Blast, which again, I wasn't actually too worried. For some reason, Blaine just doesn't bother me, but we just have to tank one Fire Blast, and then we can basically take on the rest of his team. And then we move on to Giovanni, where we can really get some leveling up done in his gym. 6 hours and 41 minutes. We're at 7 hours, so I think this is potentially one of the slower times to get to Giovanni. Normally around the 5 hour mark I'm sort of at Giovanni, but to have 7 hours I was really starting to stress. And there's still 2 fatal floors before the end of this run, which you guys will see. Probably not, I think if I did the run again I would be a lot better, a lot wiser, a lot smarter with how I would go about it, because I think, not inattention, but it was just silly of me that I wasn't able to get the run done a lot quicker. I was quite disappointed with the end result, but you guys will see why. So we take on the 6th rival battle before the Elite Four. We go and get Thunderbolt too, because having to face Lorelei, having to face Lance, a Golbat in Agatha's team, and then obviously the rival having Blastoise and a Pidgeot. Thunderbolt seemed like the right thing to do. Probably the best move to have going forward. So we leave that on Haunter. We finally get to the Elite Four. 7 hours and 59 minutes. So we're already sitting in 3rd place. And most likely, well, definitely going to be sitting in 4th place. But can we get in front of 10 hours and 2 minutes? It seems like a long way away, but the 2 fatal flaws that I made, one of them was on the way to the Elite Four again. It seems like in every cave of this game, I got to the very end. Literally got to the last trainer. I was about to get past the double trainer battle and then get past the guy with double edge, and I bloody fainted right at the end. I don't know what happened, if I ran out of PP or I got one-shotted, but I had to lose because I had no other option. And then I had to go through the whole Victory Road again. So I had to go through Mount Moon again, I had to go through Rock Tunnel again, and I had to go through Victory Road. And I'm not restarting my games, just to be clear. I want to have a completely accurate time. If something goes wrong or if something goes against me, that's what I want to stay. I want it to be as real as possible. So we get to Machamp. We get to beat Bruno, and then from here I've decided that I'm pretty much going to go as hard as I can to try and beat the Elite Four. So you'll see most of the run here. We take on the poison types with, I could have used Thunderbolt there, which probably would have been a smarter idea, but how many have I got left? Take on Arbok with another Psychic. So the whole team's pretty much a sweep. That was the only one I was concerned about, was Gengar, but we managed to one-shot him as well. So we level up now to try and take on Lance as best we can. 8 hours and 13 minutes, sitting in 4th place out of the 5 runs so far, this being number 6. We Thunderbolt Gyarados and one-shot him, which was awesome to see. I was a bit stressful about that. Same with Aerodactyl with a critical hit, so we're off to an amazing start. With Thunderbolt Dragonite, he's Outrage, and he does over half our health, which was so, not what I was hoping for. I was hoping we could tank a little bit more of a hit. I go for an extra Defend, so that we can try and tank it a little bit more. And I was umming and ahhing between Psychic and Thunderbolt, but Thunderbolt actually did the job, so that was good. Dragonair worries me a bit with Outrage, and then we go in 8 hours and 16 minutes against a rival, so a pretty close time to Heracross so far. And then this is where the magic happens for the 4th and final time. We stuff up on this run, and you'll just see what happens. It's so incredibly painful. So we take on Arcanine. He hits us with a pretty decent flamethrower, but it didn't worry me enough. So we heal up against Blastoise. He uses Hydro Pump. I use Thunderbolt and one-shot And from there, I think I'm safe. And this is where you'll see the fatal flaw. He uses sleep powder. I go full restore thinking I'm still all good. We get rid of him. Rhydon goes for scary face. I run out of psychics. And then he one-shots me with a rock tomb. With a rock tomb. He gets a critical hit and one-shots me. Oh boy. So that was probably where I was like, yep, that sounds about right. Like I wasn't even mad at that point. I was just like, yeah, of course he does. Of course he does. That's how this run has gone. So I get right to the last Pokemon and get one-shotted. Incredibly frustrating. So we come back a few levels higher. And basically do what we were supposed to do. I sort of managed the PP a bit better this time through the Elite Four as well, which was good. I sort of learned from my mistakes the last battle. So we take on Blastoise with a big Thunderbolt. We get rid of him, and we're down to the final two from last time. And right here, I was a little bit worried, but we got a crit, got rid of him. Level 78. Go for 2 Psychics. A 3rd Psychic. And he just spams full restores. It's so frustrating. I was actually losing my mind at that point, and then finally he didn't use one. We beat the Elite Four, and let's find out what our time is. Normally the final battle takes about 5 or 6 minutes to complete, roughly. So, we get inducted to the Hall of Fame with our single Haunter. Again, thank you to those guys who suggested this run. Really kind of enjoyed it, even though I stuffed up so bad. Alright, Haunter is in the Hall of Fame after a total of 8 hours and 46 minutes. Really feel like it could have been an hour less if I had done everything correctly and hadn't stuffed up. So, really disappointed. I probably may give this one another go way further down the line. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace. 4 headlines. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please make you leave a like and a sub. That wasn't really English, but whatever. Next week, we've got a real tough one. As you can see right there. Dunsparce. I'm not liking the look of it. Alright, that's all I'm going to say. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Peace.